Hola friends, welcome to the Medicine, Marriage, and Money YouTube channel, the only channel for physicians who want to achieve marital interdependence and financial freedom together. On this channel, you will learn how to show up as the best version of yourself so that you can love intentionally and build a more financially savvy relationship with your spouse. And I am your host, a physician mom, a doctor's wife, a Gottman leader, a certified life and marriage coach, Dr. Kate Mangona. Welcome. Bienvenidos.
For us, or for me, I think it's been growing together. And I feel like we do a lot of that in a lot of different ways. And I think communication is also key, and talking about things, like the hard things and the good things and the all those things. Yeah, I think that
Talking about the hard things, talking about the good things, growing together. I loved how you said that, right? Because we're always growing. We're always growing, and sometimes we can grow apart. But if you choose, you can grow together. Beautiful.
I think also just part of that communication piece, but being there for each other and supporting each other in the ways that your person communicates to you that they need, right? Like, yay.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Medicine, Marriage, and Money. Today, I have some super special guests, Dr. Anna Larson and Henri Larson. Now, Dr. Anna Larson is a queer parent, a family medicine physician, an advocate, and an entrepreneur. Henri Larson is a fabulous Baba, a physical therapist, and a woodworker and renovator extraordinaire. They have been married for 5 wonderful years and have an incredible 2-year-old who is the light of their life. I personally bonded with Anna in January on a physician retreat and have since had the pleasure to serve as Anna and Henri's relationship coach. Thank you so much, Henri and Anna, for joining us today to celebrate Pride Month and you too.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Yay. Okay, so tell me what, before I usually on most of my episodes, I go in and we start out with your love story, but we have some definitions to define for our audience first. So what does it mean? Because in your bio, you list yourself as a queer parent. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, queer is, it can be anything outside of the gender or sexual orientation norm in our society. And so queer is kind of a catch-all. If I say lesbian, but I'm dating somebody who's trans, queer can just be very expansive.
Okay.
Or for me personally, I don't always identify as like purely female. And so queer is kind of just a comfortable term for me because it's just a little bit more open and a little bit more fluid.
Okay. So when you say like LGBTQ, can that all be kind of everything in that be considered queer? You're saying it's kind of like the catch-all?
For some people, I mean, I would go based on whatever someone's definition is.
Okay.
Some people identify very strongly with lesbian or with gay or with queer or with non-binary or with trans.
Okay. Got it. And then
I think it's also important, to remember that queer as a definition and a word really was used as a derogatory slur for a long time. So you'll find people who don't resonate with the term queer, or they even in the LGBTQ plus community that don't like the word queer and wouldn't use it for themselves. So just like Anna was saying, being mindful of what terms people use for themselves. Sometimes it's not going to be queer, even though like they might fit the definition of the term.
And it's a reclaimed term by LGBT youth, I would say. And so for me, I grew up in a generation where queer was a very positive phrase, but I have a good friend who is gay and just really does not like the word queer because he remembers, people around him and maybe even himself having that word used derogatorily against them. I don't know if derogatorily is a word.
But it is now.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that for sure. So it's really, it's based on the individual, right? And same thing with pronouns. So tell us, can either of you explain, what do we need? What is the general public? What does my audience need to know about using pronouns?
Yeah. And maybe the first step we do is introduce with pronouns and learn how to ask pronouns. As a general rule, I always say it's never wrong to ask somebody's pronouns. And typically asking the person who you're referencing is always ideal. And so for example, I would say, hi, my name is Anna Larson. I use she or any pronouns. And then if people have questions about it, I'm happy to talk more about what that means to me. And I would say, and that kind of opens up the conversation to help others feel comfortable sharing their pronouns. And then, I could say, Kate, what pronouns do you use? Or what pronouns should I use for you in this space? Or what name and pronouns do you use?
Okay.
Use for you.
And Henri?
Yeah. Everything that Anna said is totally on point, I would say. I think working at the hospital, I do a lot of like, my name is Henri, I'm from PT. I see that your name on your wristband is this. What would you prefer me to call you? Right. And so even just going beyond the pronouns piece, which is important, that this is a little bit of a like side note, but being able to branch it off too into like what they want to be called. And I do that for everybody, regardless of how they're presenting or anything else. So. Wow.
Okay. No, that's a change because I was not taught that in medical school, right? So you go in and you see the name, like I see the name on Epic or the medical record system when I go in to see a patient, and I can just say, hey, I saw your name is Sally. What would you on the chart? What would you like to be called? How would you like me to reference you? And you do that, Anna, when you go in to see your family medicine patients?
Yep. I'm working in urgent care right now. And I'll preface this with, I work in a smaller town in Missouri. And so so when I worked as a family medicine physician in Minneapolis, it was commonplace. I would introduce myself with my pronouns, ask every patient, what name and pronouns they used, just to kind of normalize it. And I knew it was a safe place to do so. In Missouri, I can kind of, there's been a lot of changes over the past year, and it's not always, it doesn't always feel like a safe space to do that. And so I'm a little bit more particular about like who I directly ask pronouns. I always have a pin or a badge, but I don't always introduce with my pronouns because I'm not always convinced my pronouns will be well received.
Okay.
But I always have some sort of acknowledgement of, I'm a safe person or have a progress flag or something on my badge, to just indicate that, hey, I'm safe. And if I don't know someone's pronouns, or if they use a different name, or if I have a suspicion, I'll always look in the chart and double check, and I'll always confirm name that they are called by. And then often I'll follow up with pronouns, but not always if it doesn't feel super safe.
Okay.
And then after I follow up with pronouns, I'll say, hey, do you want me to update your pronouns in your chart? Because Epic and a lot of EMR systems, you can update the pronouns in the chart. And some patients will say, no, I'm not out to my family yet, or no, I really don't want my other doctors knowing, I'm not out to them.
Okay.
And so I always kind of have that follow-up question too, to kind of talk a little bit about, a lot of people will just say, oh, okay, use those pronouns, let me change it in the chart. But I really do think you need to ask if it's okay to update it in the chart. Named.
Yeah.
Preferred name.
Oh, thank you. Okay. This is very helpful.
And then do you want to introduce yourself with your pronouns, or talk a little bit about your pronouns?
Good. I mean, she introduced us. Henri. I'm Henri. I use they or he pronouns.
And you may see like somebody's pronouns that is like they/he. And so I think some people will say, well, what does that mean? And so I think it can mean different things to different people. And I don't know if you want to talk about what that means to you, if you prefer one or the other, or if you're...
I mean, I think it's kind of situation and person dependent. For me, that just means that I prefer to be... I prefer to have they, them, their pronouns used for me specifically. But if for some reason a person were to call me by he, him pronouns, it's also acceptable. And so, I mean, but everybody is, I mean, that's the unique thing I think about the queer space and queer folks in general, is that like we're all different. So just ask questions.
Lots of questions. Okay.
Yes. Okay. In some spaces, the first pronoun could indicate that it's a preference. And for some people, it's interchangeable.
Okay.
And so it never hurts to ask, and like how I would say it is, hey, I see that you have they/he pronouns on your badge. Is there a preference you have between the two, or are you okay with it being interchangeable? Or, you can ask what it means to them.
Okay, great. Well, that's perfect. I think a lot of people don't even know that, right? So that sets us up for Pride Month. What is Pride Month, and how do you guys particularly celebrate it? How do your friends celebrate it? And how should we celebrate it? How should I celebrate it? Somebody in a I'm in a cisgendered and a heterosexual couple. There's a lot of questions there. So what is Pride Month? How do you celebrate it? And how should I celebrate it?
I'm going to start just because Pride Month is LGBTQ History Month, and it was based on the Stonewall riots that happened in June of
69.
69, yes, I say 1969. And I think unfortunately there aren't a lot of documentation of queer history and queer stories, and so I think how we celebrate it is, I think even more so this year, given all of the recent legislature, all the recent anti-trans legislation. I've been celebrating it by asking my workplace to celebrate it, to make sure that, everyone at the workplace knows that it's a safe place to be open, by talking about myself and our family openly, You know, I think for me, I've always just wanted other people to feel comfortable and always just to kind of slide in and fit in. I didn't like uncomfortable conversations. I really always strayed away from being different in any way. And so I've been trying to be authentic and true to myself, and also making sure other people are able to do the same. And you know, I think it's created a lot of good conversations, and has also, I think, helped some of the youth around us be comfortable being themselves too, and to create conversations and to just create more of a safe space.
And at work, so you mentioned this at work, because I do a lot of like okay, let's celebrate Valentine's Day. Let's celebrate, what did we do last? Oh, Cinco de Mayo. Let's just celebrate Cinco de Mayo, bring in Mexican snacks. So if we were celebrating it at the workplace, how do you recommend doing that?
Well, our workplace, I'm going to talk a little bit about my boss. She is a phenomenal cook and baker. And so she baked this like layered rainbow cake with even complete with like rainbow sprinkles on top with like the actual rainbow. And you know, you can go out depending on how your workplace celebrates things and do something like that. It was really cool. And I think celebrating it or acknowledging it in any way is however you celebrate things. You know, I think being visible about that celebration just makes it an okay place to be yourself. And if there's no acknowledgement of name, pronouns, Pride Month, any of those things, then a lot of people may say, oh, well, this might not be a safe place.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's probably not okay for me to talk about blah, 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 blah. It just kind of creates a blanket statement of inclusion, I would say. And so how I wanted to celebrate it was with education. And so I did some webinars.
Yes, I attended one of those fabulous webinars.
Thank you. Thank you. And and with like little pins that people can put on their badges or whatnot, if they want to have some sort of, what's the word?
Just like acknowledgement that they're a safe person.
Yep, some sort of signage that they're a safe person.
Yeah.
And so I think you can celebrate it in any way. I mean, I think there's even games that people have on practicing pronouns, and you know, you can do LGBTQ History Month. You can do if your workplace is larger, you know, sometimes they'll interview people or do a little article about the history of Pride to put on.
The children's hospital that I work for, even though I'm in Texas, is very friendly, very safe. They have a post. I took a picture of the poster they had with the rainbows on it and, you know, Happy Pride Month. I forget exactly what it says, but it's been outside our cafeteria for the whole month. Like it's just been sitting there, you know. They have that. We have the Pride group that gets together. I mean, they're like, I'm on their email list, and I don't necessarily have time to do a lot of things because of my 3 kids at night, but they're always doing evening activities. Like they're the most active group in my hospital.
That's amazing.
And yeah, that says something, right? Because where I'm in Texas, which is not necessarily, I feel like the safest place sometimes. And then they just renovated the outpatient facility at my hospital. And instead of the men and women bathrooms and this one hallway, it just says, I don't know what it says, but it's for either
unisex maybe, or all gender bathrooms.
Yeah, it has both picture. It just has one. It doesn't have the girl with the skirt and the man. I just noticed that last week.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
really great. And as bathrooms have that have been a stressor in our family. It's just it's always like a big breath of relief when there's a gender neutral bathroom in places.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really super.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you have 3 kids and there might be 3 girls, and then my husband, who's a he, wants to take him to the bathroom, and like he doesn't feel comfortable, right, bringing all the 3 girls. And if he's not with me, it's nice to have a family bathroom too that anybody can go in.
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Even I think Anna and I have done the family bathroom with our son, the 3 of us. So we just took turns going to the bathroom and the family restroom, and then
And then, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I think we were in Seattle, and there's this like big mall, and there's this huge women's bathroom with this like beautiful lactation area, and the nice changing tables, and it's just kind of.
Anna sent a picture because the men's restroom did not look like that.
And it was
like 2 stalls, the doors were broken, the locks didn't work. It was pretty bad.
And you just think about it, I'm like, well, family, lots of different families raise kids and have to change diapers and do things. And
there was none of that in the men's restroom.
And so sometimes it just seems silly. Like there should just be a lactation room or a family bathroom or something.
Yeah. No, that's a good point with the lactation room. Like anybody can go and they need to feed their baby, whatever way they want to do it. And I'm thinking about the Nordstrom's lounge, the Nordstrom's, the women's lounge is a nice area with sofas, and you can go. I used to go there to feed all my babies. I wonder where the men.
This place.
They even had like kids' toys. Like they had a little kid bed, and I mean, it was real extra. It was great. I mean, I was like,
Seattle. You're in Seattle.
It wasn't West Seattle. It was somewhere north or south of there.
Yeah, I don't remember. South of West Seattle.
We're not from Seattle, clearly.
Well, let's go back because we covered a lot of definitions. We covered what Pride Month is. Let's go back to when you guys first met, when you first fell in love. Tell us about that.
Well, we were both on nights. I was a family medicine resident.
And I was managing the overnight process for a $2 billion Target store. So I had the keys.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So how did you guys fall in love? Where did you meet? What did it look like?
So it was when I was working overnights and Henry was working overnights, and it was winter in Minnesota. So it was really, really, really cold.
And you literally had only been there since June from Florida. And I had lived in Minnesota my entire life at this point.
And I was still terrified of, cold weather. When ice and, all the things that had to do with that. And we had what was the name of that? We're enough in the new generation that,
OkCupid.
Yeah, OkCupid. Yeah. I don't know if that's still around anymore.
A dating app? Is that a dating app?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're young enough, that we didn't meet in person.
Okay.
Old enough that I don't know, I still feel like, especially when we hang out with teenagers, that we're old.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we went to a coffee shop.
Yeah, well, you messaged me on OkCupid and you said something, because I had something in my bio about liking musicals, and then I had a picture with my cat. And Anna sent a message and was like, I love musicals, and also I love your cat.
I don't think I said I love.
Let's meet.
And the
Oh
cat
my
is really funny
gosh.
because this cat is.
Well, yeah, that's a different story for a different time.
Oh yes, your cat. Your cat's different now. Your cat.
He's
Yeah. Now
extra.
you know the cat.
Well, the cat does love me, and I do love the cat.
It just
but
took a while to get there.
it took about 2 or 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And
She's a special cat.
yeah, she's
Anyway,
yeah, okay. And then we went to Mayday Cafe,
yes.
and then afterwards I invited you over and introduced you to my cats who loved you.
Yes, this is true.
You have cats too, Anna?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your favorite?
She was using them as a sort of a detection system for if I was worth keeping around or not.
It was a win.
If they like me, great.
Oh,
If
they are
don't
the
like me. Bye.
the gatekeepers, the cat gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And your favorite musicals?
Oh man, favorite is hard.
Oh, mine's easy. The Lion King.
I do love that one.
That's such a good one.
Yeah. It is a good one. I also like Wicked a lot. But I've also seen Phantom of the Opera and love that. So difficult. I also loved Kinky Boots.
Oh,
Rent,
oh shoot.
Hamilton. We should stop.
Rent.
Oh, okay. And then I don't know. Kinky Boots is like really up there. Ooh.
Yeah, so we should stop.
Okay, okay.
And then the one with the boot on the RV.
The boot on the RV?
In Australia.
We just
The Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
oh
Oh, I have not heard of that one.
It's so good.
So what about it? What about Henri did you fall in love with, Anna?
Well, one is a couple of things. I mean, initially they were like, so they like shoveled my car out of the snow and
that didn't happen right away.
they worked overnight at Target. And so I got
That was happening.
delivered
right away.
groceries before there was such thing as delivered groceries. And they were very like honest and like very dependable, like very like, you know, you're gonna do something, they did it right. And but really the biggest thing is that when I met them, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be the best parent in the world. And then when I saw them for the first time with my little cousin who was a baby,
Who I put to sleep like almost immediately.
I was like, okay,
When no one else could.
all right, it's over.
I was like the third or
We
fourth
have to
person
get
that
married.
tried.
So you were attracted to their acts of service and their honesty, dependability, and basically because you wanted a baby and a good strong support system for that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You were attracted to me as the baby whisperer.
yeah, it was really impressive. It was really impressive.
And Henri,
Oh man. I think some of the same things. I mean, Anna was really amazing about like right off the bat being super supportive, which for me was huge, especially at that time, but even still today, like supporting me, supporting this idea of us. I think we'd been dating like maybe 4 months when I got into that car accident, and you were like, I'm coming. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and then you like let me use your car and stay at your house. Yeah. So I mean, just like the supportive part of you, like that loyal, the same like you said, dependable. That was one of the things. Definitely, we bonded over. We definitely bonded over musicals, but I still remember like when we were at the beginning of our dating, you were still on nights. You had we were both off one night, which was rare for me. Anna, also rare that she couldn't sleep, but she texted me and said, "Hey, I can't sleep." And so I drove the 30 minutes to your house and we popped in Star Wars. And that was another thing I was like, I think it helped too when you fell asleep on my lap. I definitely remember texting one of my friends being like, I have this really beautiful human laying in my lap right now and Star Wars is playing on the TV.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, how could it get any better than this?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
That's the sweetest. Okay. So, how has your relationship changed or evolved over the past 5 years? So, have you been together or married for 5 years?
We have been together since our first date. And Anna's making this face because she doesn't remember dates. January 18th of 2016.
Okay.
We have been married since September 1st of 2018.
We picked a wedding date that might have been memorable.
Except that Anna still has trouble.
Dates and years, it's just not, just doesn't stay in my head.
So that was quick. You guys got married quick. You knew.
Yeah.
You knew right away. And okay, so you've been together and married 5 years, almost 6 years. I don't know.
It'll be 5. It'll be 5.
It will be 5. It will be 5.
That we've been married. Yeah.
So how has your relationship changed? So I'm gonna just give an example. For a lot of couples, having a baby changes things, right? Or having a career shift or some kind of changes things. Having a major, like a car accident, what do you guys remember any pivotal moments that changed your relationship? And how have you overcome, if there were struggles, how have you overcome them? Or if they just elevated a relationship, how did that happen?
Most things, and we moved to an entirely different state.
Okay.
So we've done a lot of things.
You've done a lot of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, just because he's upstairs, and so because of proximity, I can talk about our kid, right? Like having a
We're
kid.
doing this during nap time.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too. My baby is popping too.
Yes. I think having a kid has definitely did change and continues to change our relationship and evolve it in most ways, right? Like we've
In
definitely,
the best way.
She's just swooning over the baby right now, but I think we've had to be more intentional with our communication, with our with taking time for us to spend time together, which we didn't necessarily have to do before, right? Because it was just the two of us. So want to pick up and go to Atlanta tomorrow? Sure. Yeah. Why not? No big deal, but that's different now.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just listen to Henry and Henry, or we call Henry Baba.
Yeah.
And so I'll just listen to Baba and Henry, and it's just the most heart melting thing in the world. They're just the cutest together, and Henry's just the best Baba in the world. And little Henry, I'd say Big Henry and Little Henry. Little Henry is just obsessed and is just it's just so cute. And so I watch them together, and I feel like I fall in love more and more every time.
Oh my gosh. So it sounds like, yeah. And then you're going to we'll explain the Henry and Henry situation in just a second. But it sounds like really the baby, the child for Anna really enhanced your love for Baba, for Henry Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the challenges of not being able to go to Atlanta tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just go the next day. It's fine.
So tell us about the name. So tell us about the name. What's the story there?
Oh yeah. I love the story. So or you can start.
Yeah, do you want me to start it?
Sure, yeah.
I was actually surprised because normally I'm the one that starts this story, but Anna is just really excited. So
yeah.
So Anna and I think we had been dating maybe 2 months, and we were just hanging out at her apartment, laying in the sun on the floor and on that rug, the blue and white one that you had.
Uh-huh.
And she just spontaneously looked at me and was like, do you think you look like, and then used I'm not going to say my dead name here, but do you think you look like my dead name? And I said, wait, what? What do you mean? I don't know. Maybe? Like what? Why? What do you think I look like? Right? And she looked at me like pretty thoughtfully and she was like, I think you look like a Henri. So then every once in a while I would like sign my cards, Henri, like from Henri, with love from Henri, whatever. And started casually using it.
And then when we were pregnant, or when I was pregnant, I don't know why I say right? Do you say we were pregnant or I was pregnant?
Yeah, a lot of people say we.
Yeah. So
when you carried, but we were pregnant.
Yeah.
Although you did all the work.
No. You did a lot of work too. But yeah, my body. Yeah.
Where's my body?
And so we were determined to pick a gender neutral name for our kid. Like absolutely determined. I had the most incredible names picked out, and Henri did not like a single one of them, and vice versa.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I also had some really incredible names picked out that you did not like.
None of them. We could not agree on a gender neutral name at all. And so we knew that we were like, okay, we'll figure it out. And we had a name for a girl picked out because we were going to use my great grandma's name, because my grandma was really, really special to us.
Yeah, she was your favorite person, and her grandma was her favorite person, and so we were trying to honor both with one name. But then we also picked out a name for if.
Yeah, and then we were like, well, what if it's a boy? And tried really hard on the gender neutral names, which were a complete no-go for us.
Again.
And then we were both like, looked at each other and we were like, Henri. And it was really cute. And so that became Henri.
Yeah.
And it's
when he was born, actually, if I can interrupt for a second. Yeah. The doctor said, like, do you want to, he looked at me because Anna had a C-section and I was in the room, and the doctor looked at me and said, do you want to announce? Like, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to announce, like, I'm not going to announce genitalia. I'll just announce the name that we picked, right? And so when the doctor held up baby, I was like, it's a Henri! And so, like, that was this just really cool thing that happened, and then Anna puked into a bag. But anyway, that's labor for you.
And I think it was a couple of years ago when Henri decided to change their name. It was really easy because
I already knew, right? Like,
we already knew the name.
We already knew what my name was going to be. So Henri Jr. upstairs was actually named Henri before I was.
Wow. Okay, I didn't, and it's with an I, right?
Yes.
Henri.
Yeah, the French spelling.
Henri.
The French spelling, that's right. Henri. How do you say it if you're French? How do you say it?
How do you say it?
Henri.
Oh, yeah, I can't. Henri.
Henri.
Yeah. So.
Lovely, gorgeous, and beautiful, and all the things. And let's just transition a little bit into the chosen family, because I've heard you mention your great grandmother, your grandmother. I know you've been at your chosen family's house before when I've spoken with you guys. What does that mean?
So we are at our chosen family's house right now.
We kicked Pa out of his office.
We did. We kicked Pa out of his office, and Biba's upstairs napping with our Henri. So chosen family is our non-blood related family. I moved here, and my family, I didn't have any family here. I didn't know anyone when I moved to Minnesota for my residency. And so I became, my advisor, and my residency mates became my family. And my advisor and I became really close, and she's like my family. And I think the first interview date or the first get together, I played t-ball the whole time with her daughter. And so we became besties. And when we had our Henry, her in-laws, her mother-in-law is a baby
fanatic.
Yes. And loves babies.
You might have heard the term like professional grandparent. She 100% has the professional grandparent like energy for sure.
And so she was just from day one fell in love with little Henry, and she has insomnia. And so we were working a lot, and she was so kind and would come over and help us with a couple of nights a week with little Henry when he was younger. And we were able to sleep.
Yeah, from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. or something.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And
here's some bottles. And she was like, okay, cool.
And I
go to bed.
And I said, thank you so much. Can we pay you? Can we? And she said, thank you. How can I repay you? And so it just became the most beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
And
this is a rare relationship, I feel like. Is this not?
Well, I'd say not in the LGBTQ world. Chosen family is very close. There's a lot of struggles with families and not being accepting and so chosen family, the people that really root for you and accept you fully and love you. And so it is a really beautiful story. And we're here now visiting Biba and Pa.
Yeah, she's who is napping with Henry right now upstairs.
And this is your senior advisor's mother-in-law. Mother-in-law. Oh, okay.
From residency.
Mm-hmm.
Residency. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you visit your senior advisor still from residency?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're going on a family trip together.
Oh my gosh. Where?
Like around Christmas, actually.
Well, okay. So you know how you and I connected in Bora Bora? Well, Biba's mom was a Polynesian. She just loved all things Polynesian. She did she was part of this group called Friends of Tahiti.
Okay.
Where they would do dancing and they would, and then they actually took them over to Tahiti, and it's a really beautiful love story too. It was a great story. But when I was there the whole time in Tahiti and in Bora Bora, the whole time I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to take Biba to Tahiti. I was like, we have to go. I was like, that's what I get from this. And so we're
doing a big family trip with Anna and Virginia and myself and our chosen family. So.
And you're all going to Tahiti?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that later.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful story. And Biba, her mom passed this past year.
Yeah.
And so it's really special for her and to commemorate her mom and also she also loves beaches and just has a lot of really great memories of Polynesia culture.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to Bora Bora when you and I met, Anna. So
can I come with this time?
This past things will be in a completely different place, because when we were in there in January, Anna stood up in front of 60 women physicians and said, I am going to create Rainbow Ranch. And everyone is just like, yeah, and we're going to help you and we're going to support you. And we didn't even know what it was. Tell us, what is Rainbow Ranch? Is it still called Rainbow Ranch? Because I know it might have been, the name might be changing. I don't know. It's going back and forth. Yeah. Tell me more about that. What is this vision you have?
So yeah, I had this vision of creating. So we call our home Rainbow Ranch. So we live on 17 acres.
18 acres.
18 acres. With our cousins,
Yep.
who are building a barn dominium, a property, on our property, and so we're all gonna live on the property together. And Henry can talk more about it because they've done a lot of really cool things. That's where the renovator
Extraordinaire
has come from.
Yeah, I mean, so we bought this house that was stuck in the 80s. Myself and her cousin Ryan, we renovated the entire first floor and had it live-in ready in like 5 weeks, including like moving framing and redoing the entire kitchen. It was a lot.
Oh my God.
But
do you have to get a structural engineer for that?
No, because I did not mess with any of the load-bearing walls.
Okay. Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, my house is still very well built.
Okay.
Anyway, but I think really what this whole like property even started when Anna and I kind of we were looking to move, but we kind of reassessed what our values were and ended up determining that like we really wanted Henry to have space to be outside, and we wanted to set ourselves up in a space where we could be as self-sufficient as possible. And so, you know, we have this smaller house, but 18 acres. Ryan and Chandler are going to be living on the property with us. So, you know, more people on this big property to care for it. And also because there's so much space, right? And we also ended up getting like solar panels. So that pays for most of our electrical needs. We have a big like 64 by 32 foot garden that I can. And so that'll be kind of more for our like food needs. We're getting chickens to help with it. We'll have eggs, fresh eggs. And so like that really has become what we call now Rainbow Ranch, is just like this place where we live. And so when we talk about like, hey Ryan, you coming to the ranch, right? Like that, we're talking about going to the house. So, but
and you know, when we were at a retreat, I had this vision of, you know, we have all this space of having kind of like a sanctuary space, kind of having, you know, support groups and being able to do education and lots of
story hour and D&D. Oh,
which is Dungeons and Dragons. What does that stand for?
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. You're right, D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
And I have the 2-year-old, and so story hour is a big deal. And drag queen story hour, I love drag queens. And then very quickly, actually, the political scene changed. There's the legislation came through that banned kids from participating in sports.
Trans kids, right? Mm-hmm. Not just kids, but trans kids.
Banned kids from participating in sports of their gender identity, I would say.
That aligns with, that
aligns with their gender identity. Mm-hmm. And then there are laws that, there was a law from our attorney general that prohibited access to gender affirming care
for kids.
Well, the attorney general's was
broader. Yeah. He was trying to. He revoked it, but he was trying to.
And then there's been, you know, a slew of anti-trans legislation across the country, and we said, oh, like this, our priorities changed a little bit, and so it turned into kind of two pieces. You know, Rainbow Ranch. Sometimes we'll still refer to it all as Rainbow Ranch, but we have Cultivate Pride, which is a consulting group that educates medical groups, physicians, clinicians, you know, anyone really on how to be inclusive. So it does a lot of LGBTQ inclusivity training. And you attended one of the the intro sessions. And so we talk about pronouns, we talk about culture of the organization, we talk about how to make your space safe and inclusive for folks, how to practice these conversations. And so that's been one of the pieces that have come from this. And we're also in the process of building a nonprofit. And that's still in the works right now.
Yeah.
So. Awesome.
So Rainbow Ranch has kind of morphed into those two things, the Cultivating Pride and this other nonprofit that we're working on starting up.
Okay. Which is kind of like in your sanctuary on Rainbow Ranch is kind of where you can do some of this work too.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, this is right now, we wanted to make sure that we keep our family safe. And so we wanted to keep our address private and make sure that first and foremost, our family is safe.
And I think some of that also came from the fact that Missouri is one of the states that banned any sort of drag performances in the presence of people under the age of 18. And so that includes Drag Queen Story Hour. And if we were to want to host something like that as an organization, then we have to not only notify our neighbors that that's something that's happening, that just by itself then gives people access to where we live. And then also, obviously the police will know exactly where to go if news gets around that there's a drag story hour happening somewhere. So it's kind of like it's a more complicated thing than just being able to.
So some of the stuff is probably on hold or pause.
Yeah, for that reason.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. But Rainbow Ranch still exists. There's this Cultivate Pride. You've still got your nonprofit, and there's other ways. Evolving, pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let us go back 10, 15, 20 years. I want you each to look in the camera, go back 15 years, and tell yourself something as you are now to your, 15, 20-year-old self. What would you say?
I think I would have been 18.
18.
And math.
Henry, go. What would you tell? Look in the camera. Talk to.
High school sucks and it gets better.
Yeah, and if I
look at the camera,
I would say it's okay. I mean, I'd say it's even better. I wouldn't just say it's okay. I'd say it's the best to be your authentic self and to be different. We're all different. And that's actually where our beauty and our, the most incredible things that we can do in the world come from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're much more philosophical than me.
Beautiful.
But it's okay.
And I always ask everybody, at the end of our interview, I always ask everybody, what makes a successful marriage, or what is marital interdependence? That's one of my favorite terms I like to use.
I can do this. I'm still back talking to my high school self here. I would say for us, or for me, I think it's been growing together. And I feel like we do a lot of that in a lot of different ways. And I think communication is also key, and talking about things, like the hard things and the good things, and the all those things. Yeah, I think that
Talking about the hard things, talking about the good things,
Mhm.
growing together. I loved how you said that, right? Because we're always growing. Like we're always growing. And sometimes we can grow apart. But if you choose, you can grow together.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
I think also just part of that communication piece, but being there for each other and supporting each other in the ways that your person communicates to you that they need, right? Like Anna flew me to Minnesota this week because I was having a lot of extra family things happening that were really hard for me to deal with by myself in Missouri. And so just just supporting each other, not only through the easy stuff but the hard stuff especially.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
I also like that you said in the way that the person needs to be supported or wants to be supported, because a lot of times I do things that would be the way I want to be supported, but I have, it's learning, right? We're different people. And so learning what other people want or need and respecting the differences.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be the same as what we need, what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that can take a while to learn. It can be kind of hard when you think that they should want or need something different, right?
Yeah, fair.
I feel like, I talk a lot about, especially, allowing people to be their authentic self and allowing people to just be them. And I feel like in relationships, we want our spouse to do certain things, or we're worried about what someone else might think about this, or we want everything to. But I feel like a lot of it is letting go of just stepping back and allowing Henri to be their self, and they're great, like they're super, and I am just so grateful to be on this journey with them, and I feel like when I try to force them to do something or try to pressure them into doing something, it never goes well, right? But if I just step back and allow them to decide what they want to do when it's right for them and the way they want to do it, then it's really incredible to watch. And so I feel like just sometimes even stepping back and taking a look inside ourselves and seeing why we want that, if it's for, and just allowing the person to be them.
Oh my gosh. Anna, you sound just like a relationship coach. I mean, you if you could get people, right, to feel that, to do that, we would all be so much happier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there anything else we didn't cover as it pertains to the LGBTQ plus community, medicine, marriage? We didn't really talk about money because we had all these other more fun things to talk about.
There's always more to cover when it comes to LGBTQ plus stuff, so don't open that can of worms unless you want to be here for several more hours.
So give me your take home. What else? What did you not say that you really want to drive home right now?
I would say that, I think I would just reinforce some of the things we've already said. And I think that's just been themes throughout the talk, but, everyone may identify differently. Everyone may have a different meaning for different things. There's no one, we laugh a little bit. I laugh a little bit about when people say, the gay agenda or the gay lifestyle. And as I'm trying to wrestle, shoes onto my 2-year-old, totally, Oh, I feel like, we have so many similarities with each other. And, there's a lot of this propaganda trying to create differences among us. And I think, we're all people, we're all human. I think we have a lot more similar struggles than we think. I talk a lot about authenticity, and it's something that I still struggle with every day, is allowing myself to be authentic and trying to allow the people around me to be themselves. And so I think it's a process, and I think it's it's this I don't know. It's kind of like embracing all of our differences, and also embracing the humanness in each of us, and just asking, just respecting other people's wishes and respecting their boundaries, and just, and I think of like an example with Henri, like, I tell people this all the time, but when Henri changed their pronouns, I'm like, I do this every day. I'm going to be just on it. I was the one that messed up the most in the world. Like I have the most number of mistakes with Henri because I'm the closest person to them. Right. And so, if we had to make all of those micro decisions every single day around the things that are automatic in our brains, we would be so emotionally and mentally exhausted. And so I think, allowing ourselves to mess up, but also learning to respectfully repair and communicate. And there's hope, because now I don't mess up. And I say that, and, maybe I will mess up, but I think
you're not going to leave me anything to say.
You go ahead. Yeah.
You're writing the book, Anna. This is amazing. I'm taking all these notes.
How do I follow up from that? Well, I think it's important to, because you asked the question about what can you do to celebrate Pride, or how should you celebrate Pride? I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to tell you how you should celebrate Pride. That's not in my, that's not something anyone should do. I don't tell Anna how to celebrate Pride. I wouldn't tell anyone else how to celebrate Pride. But I think even beyond the celebration of Pride, anyone who does not identify themselves within the LGBTQ plus community can support Pride year round by providing spaces that are affirming and accepting and welcoming for folks who do identify as LGBTQ plus. That would be my sort of task, or my ask would be, I challenge you to and ask your people, if you're a physician and you have a patient that you think would be okay with answering the question, ask them how would you rate our clinic, or how would you what are some things as a queer patient that you would like to see in the clinic to make us more more affirming, more accepting, more all of those things. And it might be I hate your intake form, or it might be how about some different magazines, or it might be whatever. But I think just being open to feedback. You can, of course, always employ Anna with Cultivate Pride to come in and gay agenda your space.
Which means don't use that word. We don't like that phrase. We do not like gay agenda. And we also don't like gay lifestyle.
Yeah, because there's not one way. You go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I've heard of the lifestyle.
Yeah, a lot of people will say gay lifestyle or trans lifestyle, but there's no one way to be gay or trans, or
I think it also, lifestyle makes it seem like that whoever's using that term is implying that being gay or being trans is a choice.
Yeah, I hear that.
And and maybe I don't speak for everyone, but I will speak for my own transness by saying that I did not choose this necessarily, right? Like, I'm choosing to live my authentic self, but I didn't choose what that authentic self, how that authentic self came into being. In terms of like, I didn't choose to be born female. I didn't choose to be born in an unsupporting religious family. I didn't choose blah, 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 right? I am choosing now to live my authentic self by whatever avenues, right? But I think lifestyle really gives that impression that the person that's using the word feels like, oh, well, you're choosing this. I will walk right out your door if you use that word towards me. And so
now, I was given a lecture at PMG last year on the lifestyle, but it's completely different than LGBTQ plus community. Have you heard of the lifestyle? Okay, that's a completely different topic then, with like upside down pineapples and rings on certain fingers.
Now I want to know.
Pineapples.
I'm into it. I want to know.
Okay, so I was actually a OB-GYN gave us a lecture at PMG last year, how to talk to your patients about if they're in the lifestyle. And you say that, are you in the lifestyle? Or you say the LS, I forget. But so it's like, it's basically, I don't know. Is it the swingers or not? It's basically like when you're in a relationship with somebody, but you have like a boyfriend or girlfriend on the side, like, and that's accepted and okay. And that your partner also has, it's like basically open relationships.
Yeah, that sounds like, let's just call it what it is.
Multiple sexual partners.
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah, that is what she defined as the lifestyle. I mean, there's a whole lecture on it, so I can't tell you it all in 1 minute.
Completely different. I think a lot of people too, I mean, with our history of HIV and AIDS in our society, it's more common, and it was more common to be in an open relationship and have multiple sexual partners. And there are, there are gay people who have one partner. There are gay people who don't have sex. There are gay people who wait until after they get married to have sex, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think, I think that there's just a lot of stereotypes and that kind of have led towards that.
Yeah. Like it's not necessarily just
the word lifestyle. Yeah, maybe so.
It's in different, all over, everybody, right? Heterosexual couples have these things too.
Yep, exactly.
True story.
Well, it's been amazing having you guys on. And I know we could talk for several more hours.
Yeah,
I was thinking that. I was like, boy, we could really talk for a long time, but eventually our kids are going to wake up.
Yeah, they're going to wake up. And our listeners are going to stop listening. They were just like, we could do this an episode every week. We come out with a new episode. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yes.
Thank you so much for using this nap time, Henri and Anna, to join me on Medicine, Marriage, and Money. I am so honored you reached out to me, especially so that we could get this out by the end of Pride Month.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
And that is it, my friends. That is, well, I mean, there could be more, right? But I would just like to share how honored I am to actually have been the coach, serve as a coach for this couple. Like, I feel like that says a lot, that when a couple feels comfortable enough coming to a marriage coach, right? Like, I don't always advertise with rainbows all over the place. Like, this is not my normal background. Maybe it could be. Maybe I do want it to be. But oh my gosh, they shared so many good points. Henri Sr. and Anna, I don't even know where to start. So let's just start with point number one. Point number one. We have a lot more similarities. And when I say we, I mean you, me, myself, and I, who's listening to this now, and maybe somebody else who you don't really identify with. Maybe you're cisgendered like I am, and there's the transgendered, or maybe you're white Hispanic, and then there's the Asian, or the Southeast Asian, or the Black population, the Tahitian, if we talk about Tahitian. And like, we think we're so different from each other, right? Because of the color of our skin, or our gender identification, our sexual orientation. Really, despite all of those things, the outside things and some of the inside things, we have so many similarities. We are all human. I mean, think of the people we accept, the beings, the mammals we accept into our homes, into our lives, who are not human. Our furry friends, our dogs, our cats, our guinea pigs, our gerbils, our snakes, our spiders, and then we go to arachnids, reptiles. But we are human. Even our enemies. There are things we have similar. And that's where we have to be careful about the all or none thinking. Maybe the thinking that these people are going around labeling the gay lifestyle or the gay agenda. That's really a form of black or white thinking it's all of that. They must have this agenda all the time. Or what if that's just how they were born, right? I was born this way. You were born that way. Can we just connect on our similarities? And can we just allow the differences and maybe even connect on the differences too? Like I did today with Anna and Henri. We connected over their differences from me. I find it fascinating. I love learning about this kind of stuff because I have an endless amount of stuff to learn as a cisgendered, white, Hispanic, able-bodied female. So that's number one. Number two, playing off knowing our similarities and our differences. If you can't allow yourself to be authentic, then you cannot allow your partner or even your coworker or child to be authentic. And I see this in relationships as a common struggle. And you even heard Anna mention, I try my hardest to be my most authentic self every day. And some days it's harder than others. And sometimes it's extremely hard because I just want to fit in. Like fitting in is so important. Being normal is so important. And if being normal is so important and fitting in for you, then you're going to usually want the other people, especially the closest people in your life, to fit in too, because somehow that means something to you. Because other people are watching, what is it? And you have to ask yourself that question. Why? Why can't you allow them to be how they are? Why can't you allow them to speak in that tone, to use that phrase? Even though it may not be politically correct, you might not think of it as polite or rude. Maybe you need to remove yourself from that situation if it makes you that uncomfortable or unhappy or miserable. And not that words can make us miserable, really, it's the meaning we put behind them. So can we try to understand them? Or can we start by just allowing? Ask yourself this. If you married somebody because you loved them, if you're in this relationship with whoever it is you're in because you loved them, are you still able to love them despite their differences, despite them being their authentic selves and you thinking they should be something else? And if you can't, why are you still there? Have you given yourself permission to leave? Or if you can't, do you need to reach out for help? Do you need relationship coaching? Do you need self-life coaching? Do you need to examine what exactly is going on in your mind and in your brain to allow yourself to be your authentic self and then allow them to be their authentic self? And point number 3, allow yourself to mess up. Allow it. We are all going to mess up. I will tell you, in one of my coaching sessions with Henri and Anna, maybe even two of them, I used the wrong pronoun. And the first time I used the wrong pronoun, Anna politely mentioned, and I said, oh, just let me know. I'm so sorry. That might happen again. Let me know. Later, I realized that was probably putting the onus, well, that was putting the onus on them. And what I will do in the future now is say, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try hard not to make that mistake again. Or I'm so sorry. I meant them. And move on. Just move on, right? It may happen again, right? I'll try. I'm hopefully it doesn't, but it might. But not say, you can continue to help remind me, or I'm going to make that mistake again. Just go ahead and tell me. Like, don't place that burden on them. Keep it. Own it. Allow yourself to make mistakes. This is how we learn, how we grow. This is how we change the world. This is how we create more positive change, more love, and less hate. I hope you walk away asking yourself what similarities you have with Anna and Henri. If you're watching this, and I know some of my listeners don't watch it, but go over to YouTube, watch this episode. Watching them look at each other, and especially Anna look at Henri and describe how wonderful they are with their son, and just how this enhances. Oh my gosh, I could have cried. That could have been a romantic love scene. We bonded over that. I mean, the differences, right? And we talk about that. Are you allowing yourself to see similarities in somebody who's different? Are you the most authentic person you can be today? Not talking about tomorrow. Definitely not talking about yesterday, but today, right now, regardless of what time it is, are you allowing yourself to be your most authentic self today? And 3, do you encourage mistakes? Maybe not in medicine, on the floors with your patients, but are you allowing yourself to make mistakes? Meaning you're putting yourself out there, you're speaking up, you're saying things, you're trying to communicate on important issues that you might not know about. Maybe you're doing research, but you can't do all the research before you take action. Allow yourself to mess up. Encourage the mess up so that you can learn. And then remember, it is encouraged here at Medicine, Marriage, and Money to mess up, because that means you're trying. That means you're going out there, you're doing the work, you're making connections, you're speaking up for love, for LGBTQ+, for Black lives, for the list goes on. And that is it, my sweet friends. If you learned something on this episode, please share. Please share with somebody who could learn from this episode just one thing, right? If you want to give back to the Medicine, Marriage, and Money community and all the efforts we have here to create more love in this world, please share this episode. Give us a review on iTunes. That really helps more people see and listen to this episode that otherwise wouldn't have heard about it or seen it pop up. And subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, and love your spouse. Love your spouse, love yourself, love your kids. So much love, my friends. Until next time. If you are finding the concepts I teach in these episodes useful and want more in-depth and personalized support for your relationship, consider this your invitation to join me in creating the most connected and intimate relationship with your spouse that you could dream of. Go to www.medicinemarriageandmoney.com right now and download my 18-page medical marriage survival guide and workbook at no cost to you. I also have a 6-day marriage challenge, which goes over the 6 predictors of divorce. At at no cost to you. These have been known to decrease fighting, rumination, and grudges between you and your loved one. If you want to take it a step farther, really enhance the joy and connection in the most intimate relationship in your life, sign up for my 8-week Making Marriage Work program today at medicinemarriageandmoney.com. Thanks for leaving us a stellar review, subscribing, and sharing with your friends on social media. You have the power to improve someone else's life and marriage simply by sharing this episode. Much love to you and your spouse. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment. Adios, my friends. The content of this episode is not intended to be a substitute for professional, medical, or financial advice. The opinions provided on this episode are those of myself or the invited guest alone. They do not represent the opinions of any particular institution. Always seek the advice of your physician or financial advisor with any questions you may have of a medical condition or financial plan. This is for your entertainment only.